Hello, I'm a resident of a village called Vumbwe in the Tana Delta, one of the districts of Kenya, a country in East Africa. This area was recently added in the list of Ramsar sites. This is one of the coastal districts with an area of about 38,500 square kilometers, inhabited by more than 200,000 people. This area is named after a river called Tana, which is 440 miles long and is Kenya's longest river. It rises in Mount Kenya and the Aberdare mountain range in central Kenya and ends in the Indian Ocean at Kipini. Our community was forced to move out of our original home in the low-lying fields at Oluba to the current one at Vumbwe after the heavy floods that occurred in 1961. As it has been practiced since time immemorial, we have been sustaining our lives by farming, and we highly depend on the height of the floods that flow from upstream. We lived by seasons, adapting to the regular floods that keep the area fertile through the year, and in most cases, we have very good yields of grains and other crops. Our village has about 300 members from the Pokomo who are basically farmers, and more than 25 members from the Wata who are normally involved in hunting wild animals and gathering products such as honey and tree roots for food. We call this stream Kami. It's located in the center of our village and it symbolizes the unity of the two ethnic communities. Important meetings, including those with livestock keepers, are normally held under this tree. Just like other parts of the delta, the forest around us was densely populated with various species of plants and trees. In addition, we also had numerous wild animals and birds crisscrossing the land, and just like us, they too enjoyed the habitat. Occasionally, we were faced with challenges. For example, Orma and Wardei livestock keepers might encroach our area in search of pasture or water, and in the process, the cows and goats destroy crops. But most of these cases were later resolved amicably by elders from respective communities because we had functional and respected institutions in place. We always welcome them after the harvest. The environment and our lifestyle drastically changed in the early 1990s when an irrigation scheme was started by the government to grow commercial rice. Without our knowledge, while promising us jobs among other benefits, the Tana Delta irrigation project took a huge chunk of our land, with plum jobs taken over by economic migrants. Those who are employed from our community are doing manual jobs such as bird chasers in rice fields and sack loaders. The results? The flood level has reduced and we are now receiving very little water for both human and for farming. To add salt to injury, almost at the same time, 5 high hydroelectric dams were constructed along River Tana. This is in addition to the large-scale farming activities upstream that also rely on waters from River Tana. We've noted that the irrigation scheme that consumed tens of millions of dollars to initiate has become an environmental and social failure. There are hardly any meaningful harvests since rice fields were introduced here. Villagers are now surviving the hard way because crossing the branch of the river is now very dangerous, since crossing points are invaded by hippos and crocodiles attack people and even overturn passenger boats. We are forced most of the time to watch closely of our crops to keep away baboons, wild pigs and buffaloes to prevent them from destroying the little we have planted. They too have been pushed out of their natural habitat. We now cultivate using the residual moisture found in soils after floods, but last year our crops are washed away due to the floods, the second planting devastated by caterpillars. Although few of us have invested in pumps and necessary equipment ideal for irrigation farming, more and more of our people are forced into poverty because they can't afford such type of farming. The only available source of water is the drainage from the irrigation scheme. Access to most of our homes is now limited and barbed electric fences now surround our village. Over the years, we have lost most of our resources and this has in turn affected our livelihoods and respective cultures. On trees, we have lost most of the species, including this one, to charcoal burners and loggers who sell timber to construction companies. The only big trees now only exist on the eastern part of our biggest lake, Chamado. The future of the community is bleak, and because of the current situation, our children are indirectly forced not to attend school. Decades ago, we lived in harmony with hundreds, if not thousands of game, but in the recent past, we have seen wild animals including elephants and the rare red colobus monkeys, among others, disappearing. Traditionally, we believe that our ancestors brought all these primates from the Congo forest thousands and thousands of miles away. This is a picture of the lake when the only intake from the irrigation scheme was blocked, and as a result, our area became dry. Now that the water is back, we want to engage in activities that will assist in restoring the environment as it was during our forefathers.
Shomaninsui, shomaninsui, upate visembe, shomaninsui, shomaninsui, upate visembe.
Young members of the community are also actively involved in creating awareness on such challenges through theater and music.
Endani ukude jange, munapata mpawa, endani na Chamado.
Already we are seeing good results as the group has invested some of the proceeds from music in irrigation farming. We have always had an informal understanding with neighboring communities whereby controlled harvesting of poles and collection of traditional herbs was allowed. Unlike in the present, sustainable fishing was highly practiced. We want to restrict access to such areas by digging trenches around, and by doing so, stop commercial charcoal burners from cutting down more trees. The trenches will also carry more water into the forest, and this will greatly assist in regenerating of the habitat. Due to global warming and the various factors that I've already mentioned, usable land is obviously shrinking, and the amount of rain and the level of Tana River is reducing at an alarming rate. Fueled by bad governance and leadership, we are now experiencing endless communal conflicts primarily centered on land and water. We voted for the new constitution because we felt that it recognizes community rights. Recently, a court ruling was issued where a High Court judge directed TARTA, Tana and Athi Rivers Development Authority, Mumias Sugar Company, and National Environmental Management Authority to consult widely for the establishment of land use plans. This was after a section of the community took the organizations to court for violating and ignoring land rights of the indigenous communities. We've seen the increase in the number of individuals and organizations attracted to our area with the aim of starting large-scale agricultural projects. Some of them have already kicked off. However, our wish is not to fight any kind of development, but we would like to be involved in preventing further damage to our heritage, culture, and the environment. We want to engage those who are already in the Tana Delta by making them responsible for the impact of their actions or inactions as a result of any economic activities they're involved in. We are fighting for recognition as a community and also request the authorities to listen to our inputs, especially on matters connected to valuable natural resources that for generations we have struggled to preserve. This is possible, and it has to be done for the survival and the future of my community at Vumbwe.